Greetings, curious acolytes of the Force, and welcome back to the archives. The Nightsisters of Dathomir are the most notorious Force wielders strictly outside of Jedi and Sith alignments. They made their distinction from most other Force users quite early on with the use of what they call magic, which is itself a form of the Force, but not in the way that any other Force sensitive can manipulate it. Time and time again, we are reminded of the strange and incredible powers of the Nightsisters, as they performed rituals that enhanced Savage Opress into a Jedi killing monster, and of course, the infamous resurrection of Maul, or at least the resurrection of his sanity and his legs. Their strength and their craft, combined with the dark secrets kept by Mother Talzin, are enough to keep both the Jedi and the Sith on their toes. Even the greatest of the Sith, in Darth Sidious, showed some fear for Mother Talzin. However, there is a problem with the Nightsisters, one that our researchers have noticed to be a continual factor in their history. Despite their immense power within the Force, their order itself is actually rather weak. Weak in comparison, of course. There are many stories in which the Nightsisters are continually taken advantage of and put under threat of attack, with the Separatist forces actually managing to wipe out most of them towards the end of the Clone War. So how can this be? How is it that these crafty sorceresses are incapable of reaching heights greater than their own planet of Dathomir? Well, acolytes, in today's holocron, we will be discussing why the Nightsisters of Dathomir wasted their talents, and why Darth Sidious scoffed at them, hating them nearly as much as he hated the Jedi, for some of the exact same reasoning. To begin, we need to emphasize just how powerful the Dathomirians are. A big part of this conversation lies in the fact that the Force is unnaturally strong on Dathomir, so strong in fact that Darth Sidious was wary of the world. But because of the dark side being so prominent there, it also bled into its people and their cultures. The Nightsisters are collected into one coven and have used their magic to dominate the entirety of the world, dominating the minds of the Zabrak males and keeping them submissive. In a twisted way, this is actually brilliant, and it's brilliant how the Nightsisters ensured that their lineage would remain exceptionally powerful, specifically with the Force. And make no mistake, this shows. We have yet to see a single person from Dathomir that didn't have insanely high potential, despite the fact that the Nightsisters draw their magic from the ichor that flows through the heart of the planet. They are still impressively powerful even when away from Dathomir, displaying that their powers remain with them no matter where they are. Every single Nightsister is Force sensitive, and just not slightly, but all of them seem to have a strong bond with the Force, and it is implied that the Night Brothers share this trait as well. This is due to two factors. Firstly, Dathomirian society is survival of the fittest, and only the strong get to be part of its civilization. Like the Sith, the Nightsisters cull out the weaklings, and any members that do not inherit the Force. This is actually quite rare considering the second reason they are so powerful, which is attributed to their selective breeding process. Having established a matriarchal society, Dathomir almost operates like that of a beehive. The females reside in the main hive, doing most of the work and actually running the planet, while the males are like the drones. They live in separate nests and are only really used for small work jobs like farming, but are mostly there for soldier material or mating partners. What this does is keeps the bloodline within their own species and exceptionally pure. This ensures that Force sensitivity runs strong through the gene pool, and each child will have more potential than the parent, making their society stronger with every passing generation. It's like the inverse rule of two, and it's absolutely brilliant. Look no further than Ventress, perhaps one of the most underrated dark side wielders. Ventress was more than proven herself exceptionally strong in the Force more than once. She is just not recognized because she's frequently put in contrast to that of Dooku. Ventress very often took on Anakin and Kenobi together in lightsaber combat. In fact, Ventress fought Anakin far more times than anyone else in the Clone War, managing to contend every single time. It's important to note that Ventress grew up away from the Nightsisters and didn't learn any of their magic until much later. She was taken from her home as a toddler and grew up elsewhere, so this is all just pure genetic talent showing itself out at this single moment, and she could take on two of the finest Jedi the Order has ever seen. It often takes individuals such as Yoda to overpower her outright, but Ventress's growing power became so much of a concern that even Sidious took notice and commanded Dooku to eliminate her. Speaking of this incident, Ventress got a rage boost that allowed her to break through both Obi-Wan and Anakin's Force shields. This is extremely impressive considering where they are at power at this point in time. Anakin, who had already surpassed where most Jedi Masters were, and Obi-Wan, who himself was a member of the Jedi High Council, And of course, whenever Dooku desired a new apprentice, the first place he looked was Mother Talzin, since he knew that that was from whence Ventress came, and he deduced that he could get a similarly powerful apprentice from Dathomir. And he was correct with Savage Opress. Savage, who was stated to have more natural force sensitivity after his enhancement than even Maul, an untrained Dathomirian, are some of the most formidable foes we've encountered during the Clone War. So it would stand to reason that the Nightsisters would take advantage of both their numbers and their power to create for themselves an empire of their own, to launch a campaign that would spread over the star system and strive for greatness. They have all the tools they need, and yet they do not act. They in fact do the opposite and just hide out in their caves, hoarding their knowledge and selling their power to the highest bidders. Ventress's own backstory literally showcases the major flaw with the Nightsister lifestyle. A criminal by the name of Hal Stead threatened the Nightsisters and demanded that he get one of their own as a slave in order to raise as a living weapon. And what did Mother Talzin do? She caved and gave him exactly what he had asked for. Tore a toddler from the arms of her mother, and sold Ventress into slavery in order to protect the greater sisterhood. And this is only one example of the compromises that Talzin makes. They're able to manipulate people with expert skill, and they have no shortage of combative capabilities. It cannot be understated just how powerful Mother Talzin is. In the Son of Dathomir comic, she is able to match Sidious's Force Lightning, and it took Dooku and Sidious to break Mother Talzin's shield. There is no debate that the Nightsisters were powerful, but it was for this very reason that they were a weak society. Just as Sidious stated, they only ever used their power to preserve what little they had, rather than trying to actually grow and cultivate it. We all know at the time that Sidious traded dark secrets with Talzin, and even considered for a period making her his apprentice. Not just considered it though, actually, she had even taken the Sith pledge and everything, and yet Sidious backed out, stealing Maul away instead. Talzin was furious and vowed revenge, but she never let the comfort of Dathomir to pursue this revenge. Sidious noticed a fatal flaw within Talzin. She had no ambition. She lacked the fundamental building blocks that make a great Sith Lord. She was far too conservative, and she would have brought the Sith to stagnation and ultimately ruin. He realized the fatal flaw, and Sidious predicted the downfall of the sisters correctly. Sidious had heard legends of the Sith before that had become stagnant. During the golden age of the Sith, in the years before the Great Hyperspace War, the Empire had reached a place of great prosperity. They were wealthy, they were powerful, and everything seemed fine. But then Marka Ragnos, the very Dark Lord that ushered in this age, died. The leadership of the Sith was up for grabs, and there were two people that fought over the title with complete opposing ideas of how to run the Empire. Ludo Kresh, the conservative, who wanted to have the Empire continue its prosperity and remain closed off from the galaxy, and Naga Sadow, who believed the time had come to invade the Republic and widen the borders of the Empire. Both of them were in the wrong here, as Sadow was correct in saying that Kresh's plan would have brought the Sith to stagnation, and this nearly happened. But Sadow was incompetent and ended up doing something far worse, destroying the majority of the Sith inadvertently. Sidious, seeing this, believed that history would repeat itself. But Mother Talzin too had heard fate of Naga Sadow, and did not want his to be the fate of her sisterhood. However, her decision was equally as damaging, if not far worse, as she did absolutely nothing with the Nightsisters' power. All she did was put them up for auction at a cost, and then came their near extinction. In the Book of the Sith, we see in Talzin's chapter noted as Wild Power that Sidious and Luke agree on the fact that the Nightsisters had their interpretation of the Force incorrect. Luke said that their hoarding of their knowledge led to a selfish way of living, causing an imbalance in their society. Sidious believed that it was the Nightsisters' indecisiveness towards the dark side that kept them from attaining true power in it. We believed it was their failure to act and capitalize on the clear advantages that they had, which led to their stagnation and de-evolution. But now we turn it over to you, after hearing the thoughts of Grandmaster Luke and Darth Sidious, Lord of the Sith. Were these the fatal flaws of the Nightsisters? And what would have happened if they were even more ambitious? As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.